This episode is brought to you by Pine Melon. This holiday season, let Pine Melon make your Christmas prep simple and stress-free. From fresh local ingredients to holiday staples like lamb racks and ham, they have everything you need to create a memorable feast. Avoid the holiday rush and enjoy the convenience of grocery delivery right to your door. Use code CityCastDenver to get $35 off your first order of $75 or more. Support local farmers and makers while making your holidays brighter with Pine Melon. Just go to pinemelon.com to make your grocery order today. That's pinemelon.com. Today on CityCast Denver. From the hysteria over Tren de Aragua supposedly taking over Aurora to a union win for Casa Bonita entertainers both wet and dry, we're looking back at the year that was in the Mile High City. Producers Olivia, Jewell Love, and Paul Karolyi join me to dig into Denver's biggest winners, losers, and viral newsmakers of 2024. Today's Thursday, December 12th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Producer Olivia, Jewell Love, hello.
Good morning, Bree.
Good morning. And producer Paul Karolyi, hi.
Happy holidays, Bree.
Paul says happy holidays as he's sitting next to a warm fire.
He looks
literally
so smug. He's got his
Look at
legs
that
crossed.
smug face.
He's next to he's wearing a flannel.
There's no stockings on this above this
Where's Santa
fireplace.
going to put your stuff?
He'll figure it out. I hope the listeners can feel the warmth, even though they can't see it.
I mean,
Can you put the mic up to the crackle? Is it a real fire?
No.
Look at that flame. It's perfect. No, nothing. Well, you'll just have to imagine it. So we're coming to the end of the year, and we're looking back at the newsmakers, people who have made the news in Denver and Colorado. This is what we talk about all day, every day. And I don't know about you guys, but trying to go back and look at the year and pick some big personalities and big things out of it was tough because so much happens once you look back.
Yeah, my experience was I went back in our feed. I scrolled back to about November, and then I got distracted for some reason.
Oh, that's it. That sounds like using the internet for
we
sure.
make a lot of episodes. There's like a lot to go through. I was like, wow, we do
Hundreds.
this a lot. That's kind of crazy.
Hundreds, you guys. Well, that was our job, was to break this down, and we wanted to make a list of superlatives, or more plainly, those sort of like high school yearbook designations, most likely to, or biggest this, or did you guys do this in your high school? Because I don't remember doing it, like in your yearbooks.
We definitely did it. I didn't get any.
I know in middle school I won best dressed, and they took my picture the day I came back from pneumonia, and so I was like literally looked like a ghost.
But
That's fun, though.
Is that not accurate to you today? You're a great dresser.
You heard it
You were
here
a great
first.
dresser in middle school. So
I got an outfit for radio.
They can't see it, but they can feel it, just like the fireplace.
I remembered my senior quote, but I don't remember getting a superlative.
We didn't
so
get a quote. Wow.
yeah, just be glad you didn't, because it's always something embarrassing that you think is cool when you're like 17. Mine was a Smashing Pumpkins lyric, so there you
Hell
go.
Yeah.
The world is a vampire. When you think about it.
No, it was even more ridiculously oh God, it's embarrassing. But that's not why we're here. We're talking about Denver and Colorado, and we broke this idea of superlatives down into a couple of categories, and then we went rogue and brought our own. But let's start with our first category, which is Denver-est most likely to go viral. Paul, do you want to start?
Yeah, I didn't have anything super creative here, but do better, Denver.
Oh, God.
Do better,
already
Denver.
have.
This is.
They're so
I know.
thirsty, Paul.
It's going to
so
happen
thirsty.
again. It just feels like a gimme, you know? They're going to post something horrible that some unhoused person did. It's going to be gross. And then libs of TikTok will pick it up. And like, we've seen this before. We saw it like maybe a dozen times this year. And the internet's is worse than ever, you know? Go on X, you see stuff like that going viral.
No,
all
they're
the
going to
time.
clip this and say,
Oh,
comment
please let
on
it
this
happen.
account, but don't follow them. And
So if you're listening to this from the Do Better Denver clip,
hey,
follow us or go to denver.citycast.fm and sign up to
and
be
become a member today.
I just found them so exhausting this year. The whole Do Better Denver thing, and like they're just so suspicious. Like everything they post has this air of like, I should be told this already and I haven't been told this.
It reminds me of the people that go, there was no community meeting about this project, and there's always been a community meeting about whatever project.
They're always tweeting at Denver police, like, what is going on at this street? Get a police scanner app. Okay? Like, you can have that. Stop tweeting. They're like mad when Denver police doesn't tweet at them. I'm like, sorry, they're probably not online right now. I don't know.
You highlighted their best one when they tweeted at the police what's going on, and then someone was like, maybe it was the police was like, we're doing a free turkey giveaway. That's what's going on.
They didn't have any reply to that.
No, they did not. So
who did you all have for most likely to go viral?
Olivia, who's your most likely to go viral?
I had our friend of the show, Kyle Clark. He's had so many viral moments like over the years. This year, his big moderating the Lauren Boebert debate, he got picked up nationally with that, and it was just iconic. He got on like
that Mike Lynch question. Like, my question is about what you've done when you're sober. Like,
yeah, he just was
great line.
He was
the
prime
clapback
Kyle
king.
this year.
He is my clapback king. Love him. I also have to give an honorable mention to Valdemar Archuleta.
Wait. Before we do that, can I say something about Kyle really quick? Because this was also on my list. That not only did he go viral, I loved listening to Jimmy Kimmel's commentary discovering Kyle. I thought was really fun because he's something that we all know and love, the voice we all know and love. But to watch Jimmy Kimmel enjoy it as much as we did, the Mike Lynch one in particular, I don't think we could play a clip from that, but it was... I think it was just the tip of the iceberg for Kyle, and I imagine he's going to get even bigger next year.
I felt like a proud little sister. I was like,
that's
Kyle. We know him. we know him.
In Colorado, we got to meet a lively cast of characters challenging Lauren Boebert. One of them is former State House Minority Leader named Mike Lynch.
Mr. Lynch. Yes. You resigned your position as House Minority Leader after your drunk driving arrest surfaced this year. And my question is not about what you did while drunk, which for anybody who missed it was speeding up I-25 at 90 miles per hour so fast a trooper thought that you were trying to race him. Then you reached for your gun during the traffic stop. You asked the trooper to call the State Patrol's lobbyist. Then you asked him to keep the arrest out of the media. My question to you is about what you did while sober. You did not disclose your drunk driving arrest to your Republican colleagues when they were considering you for leader and electing you.
Yeah.
What does that tell voters about your judgment?
Well, thank you, Kyle, for that.
Thank you, Kyle. Wait, did Kyle just win the debate? He's the moderator. Oh, this guy, his name's Kyle Clark. He shot out of a cannon. His next target was Beetlejuice aficionado Lauren Boebert.
So sorry, who was your honorable mention? Olivia?
My honorable mention was Valdemar Archuleta, who just ran for Diana DeGette's seat and lost handsomely. But I'm giving him the honorable mention because he's someone who hasn't gone viral yet, and I think he has star quality. You know, I don't think he has public office quality, but I think he has star quality. I can see him doing really well on TikTok, maybe Cameo. I really think that he will go viral. And I believe that, I think that for 2025, I see it in the stars. Valdemar is going to have his big break.
To me, he fits under this subcategory of thirstiest, and I felt he was thirsty.
You gotta want it. You gotta want it.
Danielle Jurinsky was also on most viral thirstiest to me. She's not my pick, but I was scrolling her Twitter feed yesterday, and she had to give Kyle Clark props for calling out the state for not investigating Secretary of State Jenna Griswold's password debacle. And it was funny to watch her be like, well, I have to give some props here to Kyle. But then she retweeted Cenk Uygur from Young Turks, and her audience was like, why are you retweeting this crazy leftist Marxist? And it just felt like, I feel like she's grasping for things and going on Dr. Phil, all of that stuff. So yeah, but she was not my pick.
Yeah, she's a good... Oh, who's your pick?
Mayor Mike, I gotta say. He showed up today in the news when I was thinking about this. So he was spotted last night at the Lotto concert. He's been spotted multiple times at Nuggets games. And then, of course, he was at the Travis Scott concert early on. But also not just his appearances that show up on social media, but he went slightly viral for the Tiananmen Square comment recently. And his newcomers playbook really put him on a national stage. And I see our mayor, more of that happening next year. So that was my most likely to go viral, was Mayor Mike.
He does have a very authentic awkwardness. I'm remembering the video that he did some TikTok dances with some influencer before the election to promote his affordable housing sales tax. And it was he's definitely, he wants it, but it's revealing something about him that's real, that he has this awkward earnestness. And that's where I think it would happen.
Okay, well, let's move on to our next category, which is just overall biggest win.
Are we not coming to a consensus on these?
Oh, do we have to vote on this? Is that how we're doing it, Paul?
No, I mean, I think they were all good picks. I might give it to Kyle.
All right, okay. I mean, are we going to do it? I'd give it to Kyle as well.
Let's give it to Kyle. Most likely to go viral. Congrats, Kyle Clark.
Congrats, Kyle.
Most likely to go viral, and we'd be excited about it. Not, it wouldn't be a evil delight for us. It would be an actual delight.
Your award is in the mail.
Okay, next category is biggest win. Olivia, who's your pick for biggest win of the year?
This one was kind of hard for me. I feel like there were a lot of flops this year. But I think I landed on the Casa Bonita Union, and then just all of the union efforts this year were really cool to see. And it felt like there was a lot of community organizing and stuff this year. And I saw something this morning that I guess librarians are looking to unionize. They're starting to organize. They can't do it until 2026, but they're starting to organize and stuff. So it's big year for unions in Denver.
They're not.
Yeah, big year for unions. So that's my win.
Paul, what about you?
I found a lot of good wins. I'll just shout out a couple of small ones, and then I'll get to the big one. The Highline Canal Conservancy, I think, deserves a shout out here because they raised $100 million to improve what I think is one of the best trails in the city for walking, for biking, just for relaxation and enjoyment. I mean, it goes up along a lot of the rich, wealthy, southeast Denver neighborhoods. So obviously that's how they did it. But you don't see that a lot. $100 million. Yeah. And it's for everyone. Everyone's going to enjoy that. So that's cool. Studio Gang, the architects behind the Populous Hotel. And then also they're going to be the masterminds designing this new Civic Center Park bridge and amphitheater redo.
Which may be my cluster of the year, but yes.
We'll get to that. Drones were in the running for me. Just in
drones in general.
But I thought the July 4th, the replacement of the fireworks show as the drone thing was amazing. I caught the holiday drone show from I-25. My wife and I were driving. The one that happens
nightly at 7 p.m.?
It was incredible. We saw it from the highway and we were we got to go chase it down. And so we drove and we found where they take off, and we just found a parking spot and we watched the whole thing. It was 15 minutes.
We're really good at drones here. It's weird.
It's over in Sun Valley. Yeah, we got this one company that's it's really good.
We got the drone thing on lock. It's cool.
I like it.
But my win goes to a man who has pulled off what I call the Denver style three-peat. 2 years ago, the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup. Last year, the Nuggets won the NBA championship. And this year, the man they call Silent Stan Kroenke has managed to convince the whole city to not just approve a rezoning, but to get excited for him developing what's going to be a mega multi-billion dollar development of the parking lots around Ball Arena and what is currently Elitch's into a whole new neighborhood, almost doubling the size of downtown.
He got those YIMBYs on board, man.
He got the YIMBYs in the tank. But it's not just the YIMBYs. I think there's a lot of people who are excited about growth and the future and the potential. And he's got so much goodwill because the teams are good. And I think that's a huge win, not just for the money, but I think for the whole city for the future. I think it's got good vibes right now. Good vibes project.
Good vibes.
Interesting. It'd be one to watch for sure. Well, my biggest win, I'm always looking at the art world, and I thought Danielle Seawalker was the winner this year.
Interesting.
She had this great show at History Colorado. This is Native Art, which is on view now through February. I highly recommend it. Paul and I went and looked at it. It's fantastic.
I did love it. She's very good. She's got an interesting perspective.
She's great perspective. I love her use of color. I just love everything about her. But, with artists, a lot of times it's controversy that gets you farther, right? And I don't think it's necessarily intentional controversy. It's just what happens when you make art, because art is inherently political. And she got booted from this residency in Vail this year because someone did not like her piece that was in support of Palestinian liberation. And so she turned around and sued the town of Vail with the help of the ACLU. And this ended her up in the New York Times. And I think that I just find her very admirable in the approach that she takes and the conversation she wants to have about Native art and Native life. And what I thought was really cool is I read an interview with her where she credited Babe Walls for sort of pushing her to create more. And Babe Walls is at one of these mural festivals that sort of was an offshoot after the dissolution of Crush Walls, when some women were really feeling alienated by the graffiti scene and the art world here, and some other personal issues had happened. But Babe Walls grew into this thing, and it produced someone on a bigger stage like Danielle Seawalker, and I'm just stoked to see what she does next. So she's my big win for this year.
I did love that show. She's interesting.
I'd like to go see it again.
The way she chooses what to incorporate in her pieces, like the medium, it was mostly paintings, but then she would fold other things in there, and it was all it was good.
Okay, next category. The most Denver-est year. Who or what had the most Denver-est year of 2024? Paul?
Well, I joked about this when we were prepping for this, but I think I actually do have to give this award to Englewood, the neighboring municipality just outside of Denver. I think it's just so funny that so many businesses, I mean, the reasons aren't funny, but it's so funny the result that so many businesses that define South Broadway, this like really great, defining neighborhood of the city for
unique,
the 2010s,
eclectic shops,
probably the
small,
90s.
Small businesses.
So much character. And that these shops, so many of them, I'm talking about, Fellow Traveler opened up by a former employee of
Joe
Sputnik,
Phillips.
Fancy Tiger, and then, of course, Mutiny Information Cafe, ended up moving down to Englewood this year because of it has a friendlier business environment and a better attitude and a little bit more of a positive approach. They got some good things going down there. And so, yeah, my Denver-est year goes to Englewood.
Yeah, that was such an interesting thing to happen. It's this, it's sort of the crux of the issue with growth and building the kind of neighborhoods you want to see and all of these things we talk about, small business support and all these things. And like, it took it took almost 20 years for this version of South Broadway to become what it was. And then less than a year for it to quickly lose a big component of that. And I agree. I think that this is a funny one, but also congrats to Englewood. You inherited some of our most special places, and luckily you're close by, so we can go down and still support those businesses. But
CityCast
they
Englewood.
Denvered it up.
CityCast Englewood. Olivia, what about you? Most Denver-est year?
I gotta hand my most Denver-est year to Mike Johnston's corduroy jacket. That thing has been all over the city this year. It really embodies our casual dress air of Denver. It embodies our pissing people off. He's had a couple articles written about him. We talked about his corduroy jacket, and it made people really mad. He wore it to meet the president. He wore it to the Lotto concert. That thing has been out in Denver more than I have this year, and so I have to give it up, and it looks great.
It'll be that item of clothing that is in the History Colorado exhibit about the mayors of Denver or something. I can just see it now, on a mannequin inside of a glass box.
Yep. Yep.
Bree, how about you? Who gets your Denver-est year?
Well, this is where my crossover comes. Mine was the Casa Bonita Performers Union, because what is more Denver these days than being a living, working artist at Casa Bonita who helped start a union? To me, those three things really epitomize a cool aspect of Denver that I've watched evolve and grow over my lifetime. But to see these folks organize and ask for something better for themselves, but also be an integral part of this thing. Casa Bonita is something that is so unique to Colorado and so unique to Denver's story. And they said, hey, we're a huge part of this, and we want to have, a better work environment. And I just thought, cool, three cool things: artists, Casa Bonita, and unions, all in one all in one thing.
And a lot of these artists who are involved in the immersive theater community, as I learned at this immersive showcase thing I did a couple months ago. So that's another thing that's really relatively strong here.
It's so Denver.
There's some interesting things happening. Yeah,
We
I
love
like this
immersive
pick.
stuff.
I think I like that better than Englewood. That might be my pick. The Cosmonita Union.
Most Denver-est of the year. This episode is brought to you by the Office of Climate Action. Whether something needs fixing, you need something temporarily, or you're just looking for the next unique item for your wardrobe, make the choice to reuse. It's just as good as new. Introducing Denver's Reuse Directory, where you'll find all of the Mile High's reuse businesses in one place. Need the sole of your shoe repaired? Take a peek at Denver's Reuse Directory and find a local cobbler. Have a home improvement project to tackle? Check out a tool from one of Denver's equipment rental shops. Heading to a holiday party and need a fancy outfit? Stat? Explore endless consignment and resale stores across the city. All of these resources can be found in Denver's Reuse Directory. Repair it, rent it, buy it used. It's just as good as new. Find your way to reuse and support local businesses at denvergov.org/reuse directory. That's denvergov.org/reuse directory. This episode is brought to you by CAP Management. CAP Management is a Denver-based HOA management company serving townhomes, mid-rises, and high-rises. From staffing, accounting, project management, careful reserve planning, customer service, and more, CAP serves properties that appreciate working with an engaged, proactive team with the expertise to work with the most complex properties. Many of their clients make up the skyline of our wonderful city. CAP is also the only HOA management company with a sustainability mission, dedicated to guiding HOAs in how to operate in a sustainable way, navigating ordinances like Energize Denver and Colorado's Building Performance Program. I'm just thinking about when my mom took over her HOA and got them to install those car chargers. Looking for Brooke to manage your property? Well, she's available. I'm just kidding. CAP is working to envision the future of the HOA industry, like their partnership with the University of Colorado to pilot the nation's first sustainable HOA certification framework. If your HOA is looking for help, visit capmanagement.com to learn more. That's capmanagement.com. This episode is brought to you by Pine Melon. This holiday season, let Pine Melon make your Christmas prep simple and stress-free. From fresh local ingredients to holiday staples like lamb racks and ham, they've got everything you need to create a memorable feast. Avoid the holiday rush and enjoy the convenience of grocery delivery right to your door. With over 200 local farmers, ranchers, and producers across Colorado, Pine Melon delivers high-quality meats, fresh produce, baked goods, pantry staples, and more straight to your door. Skip the crowded stores and let Pine Melon handle the hard part. No subscriptions required, just same-day delivery in a 2-hour window within Denver and Boulder. Enjoy the convenience of grocery delivery with Pine Melon. And don't forget the code CityCastDenver to get $35 off your first order of $75 or more. Just go to pinemelon.com to make your order today. That's pinemelon.com. Okay, next category is biggest cluster fun of the year. Paul, can you explain a little bit about what we're getting at here?
I don't know if I need to. I think the listeners get it. There's a mess. There's a big mess out there. You're probably thinking about it. There's one in your neighborhood. There's one in my neighborhood. There were a lot of big ones this year. Maybe it's the BRT traffic situation on Colfax and all the businesses that are now like, what do we do? Maybe it's the 16th Street Mall construction. Definitely a contender. Big contender last year. Big contender again. I could just go.
Why don't you go, Paul?
My biggest cluster fun. I was like, the Vinyl Me Please situation in Rhino, the way all the executives left and are now suing each other over this pressing plant for vinyl that turned out to be a bit of a vanity project and
which bums me out so
that's
bad.
huge. It's such a bummer. But this one is I have to give it up. The whole Tren de Aragua gang takeover situation was not only the biggest cluster fun of the Denver metro area, but it was one of the biggest cluster funs in the country this year.
We were watching hysteria happen in real time when you are in the place where it's happening is really wild to see while the world is looking in at you. and you're like, but we know what's really going on here. Truly.
Yeah,
It was surreal.
I gave mine to CBZ management as well, but I do have a honorable mention of a kind of microcosm Clusterfun that I had to remember just because of how funny it was. I was just thinking about when the Democrats delivered Maggiano's to Dave Williams.
Oh my
with like
gosh.
balloons and a card, and they like showed up to the office and he wasn't there, and the receptionist was just like, okay, and they filmed it and they still
And they have
posted
like the
it.
least
And posted
charismatic
it.
They
person
posted it,
delivering it.
even though it was like the most awkward video.
We thought Mr. Dave Williams would want some Maggiano's because he likes Maggiano's so much.
It was like,
It's
he spent like a
regular.
reasonable amount
It's
of money.
regular to go to Maggiano's.
They spent like a reasonable amount of money on Maggiano's and owned by the libs. God,
we should have seen November coming after that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was too good.
The
So
delusions of the
I
Democratic
just
Party.
really had to include that one. It didn't have as big a waves across the country as Tren de Aragua, but it made a difference in my world.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, it
it's a
was
good pick.
definitely indicative of what we would later see in the election. Man, for me, I had so many here. I had the Casa Bonita reservation system. Definitely sucks.
Mhm.
I had the governor's proposed bridge over Broadway combined with the change of the Wu-Tang Memorial gravel pits to become pickleball courts and possibly the future of Civic Center Park. That's probably going to be the Clusterfun of the next 2 years when this weird project comes to be and we actually see what they decide to do. The Mercury Cafe Union debacle was on there, but my top was the downtown 16th Street Mall. I have to say, I'd been drinking that rah Kool-Aid like they're doing it. It's looking good. We're down there. And then I had this conversation with my friend Susie Q. Smith on the show about the lack of spaces in the city for teenagers to go. And it had me thinking a little differently. She was like, where's the seating? Where's the public restrooms? Like, why have we not figured out how to put a drop-in shelter, something on the 16th Street Mall for unhoused people? Like, there's some really simple things that I don't think Denver's doing. And I got to say, I think that the 16th Street Mall is still just not figuring it out. So that was my pick.
Call it a
Yeah,
mall.
that's a good pick.
So we had, I think I'm with you guys. Like the Tren de Aragua CBZ management combo to me, was the cluster of
It
the
was
year.
just
It ties
giant.
together so many. You know, Danielle Jurinsky, the Trump rally, they're all involved.
Yeah. And that was a big one, unfortunately, for us on a national level.
And it's like, it was so confusing as it played out. Like, we're going to be thinking about it, I think, for years, this whole situation. Like, just the other day, I mean, we talked about Kyle Clark earlier, but he was like, he did some reporting. Like, they found out that Aurora PD, like, had some evidence that there actually was a shooting at that Venezuelan election rally. It wasn't, like, related to the shooting and police weren't involved, but there was a shooting, which was such a big, like, debate in the immediate aftermath, I remember.
So that's that misinformation component of this too, and how quickly that information spread and the questionable actors sharing that information and oof.
It was a Clusterfun.
Okay, so now we're just going to talk about our own personal awards that we would give to folks or experiences or things around Denver this year. Paul, what have you got?
I got a few. Most likely to call you for help resetting her username and password goes
Waiting
to
for this.
Secretary of State Jenna Griswold, who
Nice.
an investigation found she maybe didn't do that much wrong in the leak or exposure of passwords for our elections machines in the lead up
Bad
to
timing
the
there,
November election.
Secretary
But
Griswold.
apparently she didn't train the employees properly, which is that's on her.
I would have
but
loved to
also-
see that training anyway. How to keep your password private.
Yeah.
Don't write it down in a notebook.
Most likely to be already running for something else. I'm giving to Phil Weiser, who I wanted to give him a shout out just for the targets that he's picked this year as Attorney General.
Yeah, he was
He
almost
took-
my Denver-est biggest. Yeah.
He had a big year. I mean, he's picking such popular targets like the Kroger-Albertsons merger he went after. He is investigating CBZ management, who we talked about. He's looking into Aurora Police Department. He went after Wyatt's Towing. He's looking at landlord collusion. I mean, this is how you run for governor, is all I'm saying.
Oh,
I like that thought.
Most likely to hand out apples at Halloween goes to Councilwoman Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez. who was a key leader in the effort to ban soda from schools and ban flavored tobacco sales.
She just hand out toothbrushes.
Serena's on her mom stuff,
Yeah,
I'm
she's
with
momming it
her
up.
on that. But
Most likely to leave you unread goes to CEO of RTD, Deb Johnson, who has been dodging our interview requests, dodging other interview requests all year. What a debacle. That's another cluster fund that should be up there, the whole RTD year.
RTD.
But we just learned earlier this week from our friend Nate Miner at CPR that she doesn't even like Denver. She doesn't like Denver, according to her aides. So many higher ups have left RTD that they're now speaking out. She just got her contract extended too.
I can't believe
that's
that we
going to be a
didn't make
cluster fund
this
again.
cluster fun of the year, especially because it relates to transit, which is something we know that Denverites care a lot about.
Oh, the 29th Street bike lane would have been another one there. And then I wanted to give a positive one just because I have to be, I'm a contrarian, but the narrative around this situation needs some correction in my opinion. Most likely to succeed, Barnes & Noble's purchase of Tattered Cover.
Oh, say more.
It's been a little over 4 months since this went through. We just got a big, long investigative piece from Jason Heller at Westward about how it's going. There's been some layoffs, which are disappointing. I hope that the people who lost their jobs are I'm confident that they're moving on to bigger and better things. But everything else I read from that piece, apart from the angle, I think he was a little bit down on it, was I'm so optimistic for the future of Tattered Cover. I think Barnes & Noble is the perfect company to be the steward of this institution. I think the people who work there are going to be the ones who define the characteristics of the chain, and that's what's going to make it feel like Tattered Cover that we all remember. And you got to remember that this is the best case scenario.
It's technically still around.
It's around, it's strong. They've restocked their supply for the holiday season. You can go and buy a book there, go to the Colfax location. They signed a lease to renew there for 15 years. I think Tattered Cover is stronger than it's been in years. And I'm feeling so confident about it. I would even go further than how far they've gone. I think Barnes & Noble should rebrand the Barnes & Noble on Colorado Boulevard as a Tattered Cover.
And that's PK lock.
It is a brand. It is a Colorado brand. So yeah, do you have a prediction for them? Because I'm curious to revisit this in a year.
I think it's going to be hard because they're still fighting Amazon, but a strong local brand like Tattered Cover plus the infrastructure of Barnes & Noble, I don't think they're going to expand anymore, but I think we're going to see more events. I think we're going to see more energy. I think people are going to be happy shopping at Tattered Cover again.
I'd love to talk to some authors about this, and we've got some that we've had on the show before who've done stuff there. Be curious from their perspective.
Me too. Olivia, I've been dying to hear what you've come up with.
Yeah. Can I go before Olivia? Because I know Olivia's are going to be fire.
Okay.
I want to end on Olivia's.
No
I
pressure,
want to end on Olivia's.
Jesus.
Whatever. You're funny, and this is what I'd be tuning in for.
Can you tell my dad that?
Scott Love. Olivia is funny. Very funny. Although it helps when our family
most
doesn't
likely
think
to
we're
make
funny.
you laugh.
Our family has to be our toughest critics and audience, so I understand your dad's perspective. So my picks, Colorado's biggest dirtbags of the year, John and Carrie Helford. If you don't recognize their names, they're the owners of the Return to Nature Funeral Home. So
dirtbags, that's funny.
Dirtbags, literal dirtbags of the year. Busted for misspending nearly $900,000 in pandemic relief funds on things like allegedly laser body sculpting, fancy. These people, this is some trashy shit. Allegedly on laser body sculpting, fancy cars, trips to Las Vegas and Florida. And $31,000 in cryptocurrency, everyone, if you were just wondering what trashy people these are. But really what we get down to here is...
That's probably worth a ton now.
Or nothing. Or
it's
nothing.
Going up.
But
I guess it depends which one.
But at the crux of the dirtbagginess is what they did to some people's loved ones, allegedly storing 190 decaying bodies in a room temperature building, bodies stacked on top of each other, some so decayed they were unidentifiable, sending grieving families dry concrete instead of ashes. And I read in this story that some folks flew to different locations to spread these ashes. They carried these ashes cross country to distribute them across several places that their loved ones loved. this was such a deep and dark situation. But I think they're going to get a couple years in prison for some of this. But one of the things was they had to plead guilty to 191 counts of corpse abuse.
Good. They suck.
So dark.
Ooh.
So dark. I feel for those families. The only positive outcome out of this is there's been some reform in the funeral industry around this, and hopefully these kinds of things can't happen again. My next one was biggest urban planning fail, which was the First Bank Center. Closed. Closed and torn down after less than 20 years of being built. This was constructed for $45 million in 2006, you guys. It wasn't that old. And Kroenke and AEG started managing it, and they tried to bring in a bunch of acts. Didn't really work. They built one of these pretend neighborhoods around it. That didn't really work. And it's a bummer.
Someone wrote in after we talked about this, and they were like, at some point there was a plan for a minor league hockey team to play there.
That was the
That fell
original
through.
plan.
Yeah.
That was why it was built, was it was going to be a mid-size arena for sports games. And
that would have been cool.
yeah, it never came to fruition. They had projected like 180 events a year, and the most events they had were 33 in 2016. I saw Usher there, New Kids on the Block, Jack White, The Weeknd, the Long Island medium herself, Teresa Caputo.
What?
Uh-huh. I saw some great stuff there, but most memorably, it was the date where I went on a date with my husband to see WWE Raw live, and he asked me to be his girlfriend at that event.
And the rest was history.
And now it's been torn down. So
Didn't
You should go get a brick or
propose
something.
at a wrestling thing too?
So because our first official date as boyfriend and girlfriend was WWE Raw Live, he proposed to me at WWE Raw at Ball Arena.
Wow.
Like several years later.
What a
It was
romantic.
it was very sweet. So
You should go get a brick.
and then my last two I'll do quickly. Power couple of the year, Matt Stone, Trey Parker. If the Casa Bonita documentary didn't open your eyes to what those guys do together, I mean, you see the money and you see the dreamer and you see them really working together. I thought that was an interesting look into creative partnerships. And then hardest flop was Yvonne Missy Woods, the CBI DNA scientist accused of manipulating more than 800 cases
I forgot about that one.
of data.
Yeah, that was crazy.
She was a forensic scientist for 29 years and handled high-profile cases, including the Kobe Bryant alleged rape case here. And there's been questions on how many cases she may have messed up by deleting data, manipulating data, and it's going to cost more than $7 million to retest all of that. So
See, whenever you're feeling pressure at your job, just know that
just
it's
remember
probably
Yvonne Missy Woods.
Well, it's probably like if you mess up, it's probably not going to be that catastrophic unless you are like a DNA analyst or
so
a doctor.
there's a pretty high bar. Olivia, why did you take us out on your superlatives of the year?
Okay. Most likely to have the best float in a local parade, but it's not a conflict of interest because she's no longer related to the artist. I got to give this one to Flor Alvidrez.
Councilwoman, Lucky District 7.
You can't blame her. Cesar is the best float maker in the city.
I mean,
It's
what
not
do
a
you
conflict
do?
of interest. They're not related anymore. That's her ex-husband. Okay?
Her ex-husband.
It's fine.
I don't know what you do when you know the best float maker. You can't go to the second best float maker.
I mean, there's no conflict of interest. They're not related anymore. So shout out to her for winning that one.
What else you got?
I got most likely to recommend a cool new local place to eat called Bubblegum Shrimp Co. that now offers Coca-Cola products. And I'm going to give this one to the Denver foodie.
What's up, Denver? Where
What's
is
up,
this guy?
Denver?
Has he been posting? I'm going to check to
I
see his
don't
follower
know.
count.
I can't remember what he's called. I think he's called What's Up 303 now.
I like that the controversy was really telegraphed through the media was that he was ripping businesses off for sure. But the telltale sign that he was maybe not the guy for Denver was when he was pushing Bubblegum Shrimp as if it was a local business.
He's so
So
mad at
lame.
Bubblegum
That was the red flag for everyone.
Although he's winning still. 218,000 followers.
He's still doing
He lost
fine.
like 4,000 followers throughout that whole thing. It's
Yeah.
leveled off.
He's still doing
He's still
fine.
going. He's still going.
And we're still mentioning him. So, you know.
We should send him another invite to come on the show.
Okay.
I know.
I'll
the
reach
invitation's
out.
still open.
If you're
Denver
listening to
foodie.
this, What's Up Denver 303 or whatever your name is, hit me up. All right. And then my last one is The public official most likely to be destroyed by robots last because of all his internet pandering for them. And I got to give that one to Jared Polis.
I feel like Jared Polis could have hit so many different things this year. And definitely in the viral/thirstiest wanting to be viral category. But will you say a little bit more about this one?
This man has been posting so much AI shit. And he loves AI. He loves AI.
He's an innovator.
Okay, he loves robots. He loves AI. But I think it's because he wants to be taken out last by the robot revolution. So he wants to be friends with them. So he's like, I love it. I love robots,
so he's
guys.
simping for
Don't
robots.
kill me.
Yeah, based on his comments to the Trump administration officials and RFK Jr. and stuff, that might be how he would respond to a robot revolution.
I don't know if that was more cringy or the photo of him in front of the turntables that AI created. Did you guys remember?
Yeah, he
what
had
else?
AI create his profile picture, like extend his profile picture. He used some AI art in something where he was telling us how he wants to get rid of the penny. He just really supports robot art. So
all being said, I still think he's most likely to be president of anyone in Denver right now.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, how strong Colorado looked for liberals after November.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Our conversation with Shad Murab about how Colorado did what it did, and you're right.
Although the final votes have come in, and that narrative is not as the data doesn't back that narrative as strong as it seemed.
Oh, because
in
some
the
of
initial
the
aftermath, yeah,
the shakeups with those seats, yeah. But
the memes would be crazy if he was president.
It'll be interesting to see in a year or two what Jared Polis is up to, if he's getting ready for that presidential campaign or not, for sure. Well, we'd love to hear from you, our dear listeners. What were your biggest wins and fails of the year? What categories would you pick and who you would give those out to? You can give us a call on the Denver Superlatives hotline, 720-500-5418, or email us denver@citycast.fm. We always love to hear from you. This was a really fun episode for us to make, and we would love to hear what your thoughts are about the end of this year for Denver and Colorado. Olivia and Paul, thank you so much for joining me.
Bye.
Thanks, Bree. See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell the Denver-ite you think is most likely to go viral about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later. I went back to be like, what did we talk about? Couldn't remember I could not remember a thing. And I was like, we had this conversation 2 hours ago and I can't remember anything.